How's it going, everyone? Kim Blacktooth here. How's it going? I'm feeling much better from the last video. Less burger, more man this time. And I've got a lot of good cards to share with you. Ones that you probably haven't seen. Quite a few of them seem to have come from the Russian stream that was, I think, a couple of days ago. Yeah, 2 days ago. We didn't really get much information from that. We were expecting more streams or more videos, but not really much came out. And I'm going to follow on, continue from the previous video in terms that CD Projekt Red spokesperson has said I'm allowed to do this, but I should probably state that these cards may change. They probably will change before the closed beta. Cards are changing all the time, so they might not necessarily have these exact abilities, but at least we can get an idea of where they're sort of going, what they're thinking about, and it gives us more stuff to discuss. Even if it's not going to be like this in closed beta, I still think it's super interesting, and I get really giddy whenever I get to see some new cards. So let's start, shall we? So the first artwork I'm going to show you is just that. It's just artwork, but it's of Francesca, and I think it looks really powerful, really dynamic, really pretty interesting. I like the green. It really kind of sings Square Tail to me. And I don't quite know what the snakes are, but I'm not massively big on like books, so maybe it had some in there. But if not, then hopefully we might get some information on what's happening here with the single player campaign if you get to control Francesca in that. But a nice card. That's going to be a leader card that you get to choose from. So yeah, very interesting. So now we're getting into the real cards with real information in them. And the first card was one that we did see quite blurry at the Russian event, and it's called Adrenaline Rush. This is a bronze special card, so you can have 3 of them. Choose a non-gold unit and keep it on the battlefield at the end of each round. So effectively, this gives the unit resilient. Okay, so massive potential, really interesting card. I think its potential is huge. I mean, you could get Geralt Swordmaster or Geralt down, remove the gold status, and then resilient him. You could resilient pretty much anything, you know, any non-gold, and with the potential of Dijkstra stripping people of gold status. Really, the whole board is open to you. Now, there are some things worth keeping more than others. I think the thing that keeps Mahakaman guards so good is that they're kind of rubbish. They're only 4 strength, maybe 6 or something, so they're kind of mid-level, so they are protected most of the time. So just resilienting like a 15 strength guy is not really going to work all that well. I think there's a couple of cards which would work really well. One of them that springs to mind is Odrin. Odrin's ability, from what we saw earlier, is that he's played on your side of the board and he moves every turn to a random row and buffs them permanently for +1. So if you keep him resilient, he's floating around your board for the entire game, giving +1 to everything. Ridiculous. I love it. Now, you do have to be careful that things like Alzor's Thunder that I went through on the previous video as well, where you get to target something for 6 strength, wound it for 6 strength, that would get rid of Odrin immediately. So, you know, this is not as powerful as you might think, because you could target non-gold cards with like Alzor, and if you resilient something too high, it'll probably just get scorched, could get weathered, you know, so there is some strategy around this, but I really like the potential that it opens up. So the next card, which really shocked me and has huge potential, I really like it a lot, really opens up the game. I'm excited for this card. It's called Reinforcement. It's a silver special card, okay? So you can only have 1 of these for good reason. Choose a non-gold unit on your side of the board and play all copies of it. So, first of all, pretty damn powerful, okay? It really means that it's basically just a retroactive muster on a certain card. So you target a card with this and all copies will come out of wherever. It doesn't actually say wherever. Normally it's going to be deck and hand, but it might also include the graveyard. If it includes the graveyard, that adds extra mobility, extra usability for the card, because you could play some musters like the Crones, for example, and then medic 1 out and then reinforcement it, and you'll get the other 2. That would be really cool. So yeah, really powerful, and it really means that during your opening hand, you get to be a bit more liberal with the redraws. You don't suddenly need 3 Archgriffins anymore, okay, in order to play 3 Archgriffins. All you need is 1 and this card. So this card can be used with loads of different cards, but it also means that you only need 1 of that card in your opening hand, plus this card, and suddenly you've got all three really. You've got potential for all three. Now the risk is that you place the card down and it gets scorched or epidemicked or removed in some way before you can reinforce it. But that's a risk, which is fine. So my mind went to several places on trying to figure out what cards reinforcement will be good for. My mind went to what things have 3 copies. Oh, a lot of musters do, and this card is going to be useless for those unless you can pull them out of the graveyard in some way. But then, you know, there's actually guys, quite a lot of bronze cards which have 3 copies that would be really powerful for this ability. Now it's really not going to work on silvers because you can only have 1 copy of those in your deck. The exception might be if you operate a 1 from your opponent and you've still got 1 in your deck, you could possibly reinforcement the 1 that you stole and it'll pull the 1 that originally belongs to you back out. It's not as effective though, but silvers have better abilities, so possibly. But bronze cards, let's go over some because the potential is huge. You've got the raw strength base ones like Arch Griffin or Redenian Knights, for example. And basically, in your opening hand, all you need is 1 version of that card, rather than 3 now, and the reinforcement. And you get the potential, if you so choose, to have a board of 3 of them now. So Redenian Knight, reinforcement here, and suddenly you've got 3 of them. Really, really nice. You got things like Poor Infantry, where you don't need, again, 3 of them to get a full board. You don't need 3 of them in your hand. All you need is 1 of them and reinforcement. You place 1 down, you reinforcement 1 of them, and suddenly the other 2 come out and create their copies. So you've got a whole board of 9 of them for just 2 cards, which is, you know, pretty decent. Now, those strategies in and of themselves are pretty decent, okay? They're good potential, but there are crazier scenarios that really bring this card to life. Let's say Hawker Healer, okay? This is a, I think, 1 strength card, which adds +3 to everything else on that row. So if you built up a nice melee row, and you put a Hawker Healer down, and this is your last card, you place him down on the Hawker Healer, and suddenly the other 2 come out, and they'll each buff up for 3 as well. So by playing 1 Hawker Healer and reinforcement, you've suddenly buffed everything else on that row by 9. You've added a couple more strength, and some of the Hawker Healers have been buffed by 6 as well. That's crazy. That is a good card, you know. The potential there is huge depending on how many cards you've put onto the board. It'd be really nice if you had loads of small, weak cards, because then the Hawker Healers would really benefit a lot. There's still other examples as well. Things like for Skellige. We already know that they love their medics and they really want them a lot. But if you don't get 3 in your hand, but you get 1 Priestess of Freya, and you get reinforcement, suddenly you've got access to all 3. You place the Priestess of Freya, medic something out. You reinforcement the Priestess. The other 2 will come out and you'll potentially get 2 extra medic abilities. Damn, this is good. I like this card a lot. It's so powerful. Now, I'm going to flip everything on its head. I have no idea what deck this is for. None of these things tell you what deck it's for. However, the art is very Northern Realms. Okay, so it may be restricted to Northern Realms. So just be aware of that. Okay, Northern Realms can still use the medic thing, you know, with the field medic and things like that. But just be aware this may be Northern Realms only. Another ability for reinforcement, I gotta add this one in. Mahakaman Guards. Okay, Mahaka Guards. You play 1, you could easily bring out the other 2. Not a problem with reinforcement. Whether it's worth it is totally up to you, because it is really only going to give you 8 more strength. But, you know, if you buff them up, they're definitely 8 strength that will carry over for future rounds, provided they don't get scorched. But it's not as interesting, but I know some people love Mahakaman Guards. Shout out to Mahakaman Guard, that's his name, and he loves Mahakaman Guard. So this will work really well for him if it's not Northern Realms only, which it's kind of looking to be. Still pretty good, work really well with Poor Infantry and other things, you know, possibly, which would be really good. Oh, we've got another Northern Realms card coming up, and this would work really well on that as well. And here it is, Reinforced Siege Tower. 5 strength bronze card for Northern Realms. Goes on the siege row and it has an ability. Add 2 strength to this unit whenever a gold card appears on the battlefield. Okay, so again, this generally just reinforces the whole promotion style Northern Realms deck. You want some of these out and then you start promoting all your Poor Infantry, and these are going up quite a lot. If you manage to get a full board of Poor Infantry, you've got 9 of them, this will go up by 18 strength if you manage to promote them all. Okay, so that's 18 strength plus the 5, which is 23 strength per one of these you also have. That's a huge combo. Obviously that reinforcement to either bring out all poor infantry or either to bring out all reinforced siege towers, because you can have 3 of them. It is a lot of cards though, obviously. You probably don't need all reinforced siege towers, because if they can get to 23 strength each just by a full board of poor infantry, then you know you're on your way really. But really strong card, I really like it. Really brings the whole promotion aspect all together as well, and it's just another avenue to go for promotion. Now the question is, Northern Realms don't seem to have anything that isn't promotion focused. So that is one thing that a lot of people are worried about. Can I build a non-promotion Northern Realms deck? And this card just, it doesn't really state that you can't, but it kind of indicates they're really pushing for promotion. It would be silly, in my opinion, not to allow choice in this kind of idea. So I think the deck ability might change or something, so it's not completely focused on promotion. This card doesn't say anything about that, but this is really just another promotion style card for Northern Realms, which is cool. So the next card we've got, Margarita loucks Antille. Maybe, no, I don't think so. About 6 out of 10, I would say, on the name there. She is a 6 strength silver card, goes on the range row, and her ability is to create a Banard Adept card whenever a gold card appears. So I think a lot of these are Northern Realms based. This is definitely a Northern Realms based card. A lot of the cards in the background there, people in the background, art, are Northern Realms based. So I really think this is Northern Realms as well. And again, it's another aspect to promotion. Now, they might not allow promotion, non-promotion decks, but they might have multiple avenues of promotion decks. So you might have one which is all about getting high strength. You might have one that's all about getting loads of small units on the board, whatever a Banard Adept is, I have no idea. But it's effectively, you know, if you manage to get this girl onto the board and then get poor infantry and promote them, presumably you get, what is it, 9 Banard Adepts if you manage to get 9 promoted poor infantry, which is huge. I don't know what they do. They could be like 0 strength, I don't know, but I imagine they're probably just going to be 2 strength units or something. Really works quite well, really strong, I think, for Northern Realms. So we've got Sarah now. So Sarah, welcome back. I think she's still a neutral card. I would bet on her still being a neutral card. 3 strength and silver card, goes on the siege row. Her ability, add 4 strength to this unit whenever a frost, fog or rain appears on the battlefield, and she is immune to rain. So the question is, does it stack? Now, in the previous kill the stress test server, whatever, the ice giant, in the first one it did stack, but in the second one it didn't. His does say, whenever affected by frost, add 4 strength to this unit. You might be able to interpret that as, yeah, it shouldn't stack, but this one definitely sounds like it should. Add 4 strength to this unit whenever a frost, fog, rain appears on the battlefield. It sounds like it stacks. It might be too powerful if it stacks. That's the question. But if it doesn't stack, she's going to be effectively just 7 strength, which doesn't seem very good. I don't think many people would take her. The positive, you would say, is that it's more likely to happen. You're definitely going to get a frost, fog or rain happen in a game, most likely. So she'll definitely go up to 7. But that's not enough reason. So, you know, if you're playing the Ice Giant, you're definitely going to have a frost. There's no question, because you're going to be playing monsters. So this pretty much means that she has to stack, which means she could potentially get quite high. You know, 2 weather cards, she's on 11. 3, she's on 15. So she could equal Geralt with 3 weather cards, and would Ragnarok, which plays a frost, fog and rain, instantly bump her up to 15 strength. Possibly. Really, really nice. You could resilient her as well with the adrenaline rush that we saw a while back, which means she would constantly get buffed and buffed and buffed and buffed over all 3 rounds. Jesus, I like these combos, man. Let's go. I like her. She's interesting. I think she's neutral, so a lot of potential there. Yeah? Okay, we've got Book 3 Jackdaws. They seem to have changed his name now. He used to be Villain Trettenmirth. Also calls himself Villain Trettenmirth. I mean, I spent ages pronouncing Villain Tretted Murph. I know how to say it. I don't know how to say bought 3 jackdaws. They switched that round on me. A 9 strength golden card goes on the ranged row, and he has a countdown timer. That's why the second number at the bottom there, because countdown timers are always independent now of anything else. It always goes underneath what row they're on. Destroy the strongest units on the battlefield twice in a row after 3 turns. So 3 turn timer, and then it will scorch the strongest unit, and it will scorch the strongest unit again, and you get 9 strength. So I mean, that's really powerful. You'd have to build a deck probably where you had medium units possibly, or if you saw that the opponent had many of the highest strength cards. So one thing that was really happening to me in a game was he had, I think, 2 Mahakaman guards at 14 strength, and he had 1 Yavin at like 15. So this would be perfect for a situation like that. You'd scorch the Yavin, and then you'd scorch the Mahakaman straight afterwards, and that would decimate the opponent. So he's really a massive tide turner if you can utilize him perfectly. The opponent gets 3 turns to do something. You get 3 turns to do something. So it might work well with things like decoy, so you can have the highest strength, place him down, decoy something up. 3 turns is quite a long time because it is effectively 3 turns for you and 3 turns for the opponent. So, you know, a lot can happen in 3 turns. So I really like it. It sounds powerful, but I think it's also going to be a bit more difficult to foresee 3 turns into the future. You know, the opponent could weather himself and then clear weather himself. I don't know. Could be used against you, you know. I like it. Interesting. So we've got a returning card now, the Grave Hag. Seen a little bit of a change. Mostly plays the same, but seems to be a bit of a nerf. I think generally overall numbers in Gwent have gone down. Encourages generally don't do +2 anymore, and constant, you know. So I think numbers are generally lower. So it is a bit of a nerf, but it's not. It's a nerf in comparison to the whole game of Gwent, where numbers are generally a bit lower now. So 1 strength silver card goes on the ranged row and for monsters only. Her ability: choose any number of units from your graveyard and remove them from the game. Add 1 strength to this unit for each. So obviously you want a deck with a lot of musters in there, a lot of things to put into the graveyard. Might actually be useful to have the last wish in this particular deck if you're planning Grave Hag as a real pivotal moment. I mean, it basically banishes them from the game. It can be any card in the graveyard. So golden cards are a given. I think it's only units, so not special cards as well. So what potential strength could she get up to? In the previous build of her, she could like win you around easily. But now I feel like you're probably going to struggle to get to 15. You might just be able to get around there. So without really, you know, monsters don't seem to have any medic. I don't think we've seen a single monster medic yet. So it might be fine to do that sort of strategy. Definitely one that you want to play on round 3. Maybe after the opponent has passed, if you can get really high strength with her. You know, Wild Hunt Riders, Foglets, Ancient Foglets, all of these things which have loads and loads of versions of itself that all get put into the graveyard. So nice, but we'll have to see just how much strength you can get with the Grave Hag to see how much she's worth. To be honest though, silver card, 15 strength, that's decent, isn't it? That's pretty average, I think. Naneki is 6, she medics them out, you get about 16 with her. We saw a silver card earlier, which you could possibly get up to about 15 as well. Yeah, decent. So the next card is a huge one, guys. Right, hold on to your pants, clench your buttocks, prepare for a wild ride. Scorch Trap. This is a huge deal. It's a bronze special card, most likely a neutral one. Spring when a non-gold card appears on the row, destroy it. Now there's a couple of things in that short sentence that I need to bring your attention to. The first one is it says non-gold card. Normally it specifies whether it's a unit card, special card, or in this case just card. So this might also scorch special cards, so you might be able to stop a promotion from happening. You might be able to stop a scorch from happening. Things like that, which is a really big deal. I don't want to commit to that yet because, you know, I don't feel confident about texts, but there's some other information we need to see. Spring, that sounds like a buzzword to indicate that it's some form of trap or secret that you place down. In Hearthstone, when you play a secret, it puts a little bubble above your character and the opponent can tell that you've placed a secret, but they don't know what it is. This, you have to play on a particular row. It says spring when a non-gold card appears on the row. So the row is the most important words. So you have to pick whether it's melee, ranged or siege to place this card down onto. It throws up tons of questions. I have no idea whether the opponent's going to see you place this card, whether it's going to place the card but face down so they know there's something there, a trap, but they don't know what it is, which means there's going to have to be quite a few other traps, otherwise it'd be very easy to guess. You know, if it's like completely invisible, so you play the card and it doesn't show them that it's a trap, I mean, maybe you could place it on... You see, because if you play a card from your hand and it's just invisible, then they're going to know it's a trap. If you place a card down on your side of the board, face down, they're going to know it's a trap. So it probably is going to work very Hearthstone-y that you do show them that you've placed a trap down, but have no idea what it is. Or, yeah, so loads of questions on this. But there's some really nice strategy around this. So the first strategy would be, obviously, you need to guess what row they're going to place their cards down, and obviously you could just random it. You could just throw it on a row and see how it goes. But really the strategy comes from identifying what deck, what type of cards and what row your opponent is really focusing on, and then, you know, utilizing that knowledge of his deck against him. And also there's an added element of knowing when to put it down. You don't put it down on the very first turn on melee, anticipating Wild Hunt Riders. You want to put it down when you're anticipating something big, you know, when he's set the board up and he's waiting for one card and he's going to put it down now. You need to anticipate that. So I really like that type of style. Now, I mean, you could use this card to prevent musters. I assume it would scorch the card before the muster gets activated, which is really cool. But there's also a nice strategy on end of round scenarios, and it's just better than Scorch in that sort of way. Now, the risk is obviously a Scorch can be used and will hit the entire board, depending on whatever the highest is, where this only hits a particular row, so it's less likely to get activated, but it also seems like it's never a dead card. Okay, so at the end, let's say you got on round 3 and you've got one card left. If it's Scorch, if you've got the highest strength on the board, it's a dead card, you can't use it, you have to pass. If it's Scorch Trap, then you can throw it down on a row and then pass, and your opponent is going to be placing cards down to try and beat your strength, and he may activate the Scorch Trap. So you're still kind of affecting the board even after you've passed, which is really, really interesting. You know, you could screw up the opponent's gameplay there by playing this trap before you pass, and it's such a weird card. I mean, I think a lot of people wanted this type of thing. I hate traps in Hearthstone, but secrets. But this opens up a lot of strategy. I think the main question is, how does it get played? You know, do you place it on your row? Does it get activated on both rows? So you could activate it, but obviously you know it's there. It's the opponent's turn first, so he's more likely to activate it. But if you place a card down on, say, the melee row, will it activate the Scorch? Does it also affect special cards is the next question. I mean, this has huge potential. I can't get over just this card. I can't get over these cards that I'm seeing tonight. Guys, man, please. Right, the next card, which really kind of follows on from this, is the Dolby Off Marksman. Okay, so this is a square tail card only, and it's a returning card. 1 strength bronze, and those arrows mean it can be placed on any row. We usually refer to that as agile because that's what it used to be in olden games. So if ever I say a card is agile, it means it can be placed on melee, ranged or siege. Its ability: spring when a unit appears on the row and remove 5 strength from it. So it's loyal, so that would indicate that you play it on your side of the board, and its ability activates when the opponent places something on it can be placed on any row. So if you play it on melee, when the opponent places a unit card, this does specify unit, but it doesn't specify whether it's gold or not, so it can seemingly do bronze, silver or gold. When the opponent plays a bronze, silver or gold unit onto the melee row, she will activate and reduce its strength by 5. Also really, really kind of powerful, really. She looks kind of rubbish, but think about this. If they put down a Wild Hunt Rider, it will remove 5 strength from it. Presumably, it will wound it and destroy it before its muster is activated. Okay. How many 5 strength golden cards are there? Madman Lugos. Now, the question again is, you place down Madman Lugos. He's only 2 strength, but he gains +1 for every bronze in his graveyard. So would it remove the 5 strength before he manages to buff himself? If so, that is a huge deal. You know, the main question around this card is, does it play it? Okay. Does it activate the ability before they activate their ability? You know, does she I think so. It seems right. You know, she's like marksman. She's getting in there, springing the trap, dealing 5 damage or whatever, removing 5 strength, and then, you know, if they survive the ambush, then they can do what they want. So she's like a really decent card to just be able to screw over your opponent. She's very cheap, you know, and you get to choose what row they put on, so you can deal 5 damage to something. The potential to wound and destroy cards is probably the big attractiveness of this card. You could potentially wound something before its ability is played. That is something that we're going to have to confirm before we can actually do a true evaluation. But if she doesn't stop their activation of their ability, then she's not that great, you know. So I think it's very true that she's going to have to do that. And then, you know, a smart player gets more and more dangerous. The smarter the player, you know, when they put one of these down and stuff like that, things become smarter. Now the question is, the biggest question is that, again, just like the Scorch Trap, you'll place her down on a row. Will the opponent be able to see that? Because if they see a Dolby Off marksman has been placed on the melee row, they just won't place anything down on the melee row in this round. So, you know, but there must be some either illusion going on or something where you place it down and nothing happens, or place it down and it's face down, you know. But even then, they're going to try and stay away from the melee row if you place down a card face down on the melee row. So a lot of big questions regarding those 2 trap cards, I'm going to call them from now. Yeah, so that's it, guys. I hope you really enjoyed those particular cards that I was able to share with you. Thanks to the guy that sent them me. I think they come from the Russian build. Most of these I think we have seen blurry images of and badly translated, but God, it was a wild ride this time. I mean, I'm always looking forward to seeing new cards. So thanks for watching, everyone. Take care. I will see you again very soon for more Gwent stuff. Alright? Gwent stuff. See you guys. Take care.